Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test. Mock road test, wintertime. Had a comment from Kyle Crasto. He's in Toronto and they have snow, and he had some questions about how close he needed to park to the curb when there's snowbanks and whatnot. And actually in the wintertime, it's probably a little bit easier to do your road test because things aren't quite as exact. If you have a snowbank, you don't have to be right up against the snowbank because you're going to risk getting stuck. And on that point of getting stuck and driving in the wintertime and doing your road tests, make sure you take a vehicle that has good quality tires on it, either M&S rated tires or the Snowflake rated tires. You want to have quality tires. And the second thing that I would recommend in terms of doing a road test in the wintertime, take a vehicle that is either front wheel drive or all wheel drive. You might even take four wheel drive depending on how much snow you've had of late, but I would recommend at the minimum take a front wheel drive, because if you take a rear wheel drive, they're just too easy to break loose and it's harder to control them. With a front wheel drive vehicle, all the weight is over the drive axles and you're less likely to lose control of the vehicle. It's less likely that the tires are going to break traction and you're going to spin out. So if you can get a front wheel drive vehicle, that's going to be better in the wintertime as well. And if you look at my previous video on mock road tests, you don't have to drive the speed limit. Remember, speed limits, posted speed limits for the purposes of a road test are under ideal conditions, and it is not ideal conditions in the wintertime, especially if you've had a recent dump of snow as we have here in Vernon. Now also in the wintertime, know that the farther you get away from the main roads, the more and more snow you're going to find. So when we get into the residential areas here and start doing the slow speed maneuvers, you're going to see that there's a lot more snow than there is out on the main roads. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to hook up the cameras, we're going to go for a drive and show you how to do a road test in the winter time. Stick around, we'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you today about a road test in the winter time. And as I said in the introduction, it's a little less exact in the winter time because you don't want to get into the snowbank and risk getting the vehicle stuck. Driving examiners, for whatever reason, don't like trying to push cars out of snowbanks. So they're a little bit more lenient in the winter time about how far you are from the curb when you're parking. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for a drive here and show you how to drive in the winter time for the purposes of a road test. So the driving examiner's got in the car, done up your seat belts. He or she is giving you the spiel about obeying all traffic laws, being safe on the road, and of course they will have a clipboard. And don't get too excited about what they're writing down. Pay attention to what you're doing. Focus on what you're doing. Your job for the purposes of a road test is to take away the driving examiner's right to fail you. That's all you have to do. Nothing more, nothing less. So let's get going here on our road test. Into a forward gear, park your brake off. For those of you driving an automatic transmission, it'll be into drive. 360-degree scan. The driving examiner has indicated for us to go right out of the parking lot. So 360-degree scan, both hands on the steering wheel. Vehicle in front of us. We're just looking to see where that person is going. And we're going to stop because we have no idea where that person is going. They want to go in behind us, so we're going to proceed out of the way. And again, we have to yield to all other traffic. We don't actually have to stop here. The way is clear. Stop sign before the railway crossing. And I can't see a stop line. I just barely see the stop line there. It's 15 feet from the railway crossing or 5 meters. We move forward, we can see clearly on the railway crossing. I'm driving a manual transmission so I don't shift gears over the railway crossing. Both hands on the steering wheel except for the purposes of shifting. And the driving examiner has indicated for us to go right at the controlled intersection. You can see that the controlled intersection is a stop sign. So approximately half a block, rear signal shoulder check. Move the vehicle, position the vehicle to the right, and again, stop before the sidewalk. I can't see the stop line. I could just got a glimpse of it there. So stop before the stop sign, or the sidewalk rather, and then creep forward until I can see. Shoulder checking, I can go after this white vehicle. Shoulder check immediately before turning. The driving examiner has told us to go left at the traffic light. Mirror signal shoulder check. Signal on all the way into the other lane. There's a red light, so there's no point screaming up there into the turning lane before the solid white line. You can sort of see the crosswalk lines here. I put the front tires on the front crosswalk line. Signal on, shoulder checking. I have a gap. I'm meeting the gap. Turn the vehicle into my lane, and I accelerate the vehicle. The driving examiner has told me to go left at the next intersection, which is not a controlled intersection, it's right here. So I don't have to slow. Mirror signal shoulder check, approximately half a block before the intersection. I'm watching that vehicle, making sure that vehicle is stopped, which he or she is stopped. And again, as you can see here, a lot more snow and ice the farther you get off the main roads. And I'm not actually doing the speed limit here. I'm only doing about 40 kilometers an hour, which is about 22 miles an hour. And I'm preparing for the stop sign, so I want to start braking and slowing down back before the stop sign so that the vehicle will actually stop where I want it to stop. And again, there's a sidewalk over there. I think it's hard to tell with the snowbanks and whatnot, but I stop back, creep up where I can see the way is clear, and we proceed. I'm accelerating into a straight line, and again, the temperature here now is about -15, so we have good traction because we have sub-zero temperatures. And I'm working really hard to keep my hands on the steering wheel. But for those of you who watched my videos before know that I talk with my hands. So it is a bit of a challenge for me to keep my hands bolted to the steering wheel for the purposes of doing a road test. So we're proceeding down here. The examiner has told us to proceed straight through the next intersection, which again is a controlled intersection by a stop sign. And we're slowing down back from where we want to stop. And again, we have a sidewalk. We stop before the sidewalk. Creep forward until we can see. The way is clear, and we proceed. The examiner has told us to turn right at the next intersection. We're locating the intersection. Mirror signal shoulder check. Get my gear before the intersection, turn the intersection, and the driving examiner has indicated for us to park off the van. Mirror signal shoulder check. I'm approximately 3 feet from the van. I line up the back windows right about there. Into reverse, so my reverse lights come on. I pick up my 45, which is the front of that guardrail, and I reverse all the way back until I am in line with that. Bring my steering wheel back to straight. I come approximately 1/3 of the way down the hood, which is about there. Turn my steering wheel all the way to the right. Or to the left, rather, sorry. The other right. And then I pull forward until the bumper just disappears under the front of the vehicle, until I just see the top of the bumper. At this point, I put on my parking brake, put it into a forward gear, or put it into park if you're driving an automatic. You tell the examiner you're finished. The examiner says okay. Now, in terms of getting into the snowbank, you don't want to get into the snowbank. You can see here in the dash cam that I'm lined up behind that vehicle, and essentially for a road test in the wintertime, that's all you want to do, is be lined up behind the other vehicle. It's not 6 to 9 inches from the curb. Are you lined up behind the vehicle in front of you? And that's what the measure is for parking in the wintertime, because you don't want to get stuck in the snowbank over there. Okay, so the examiner has indicated for us to go. We're into reverse. We're looking behind us. We're going to back up. Signal, mirror signal shoulder check into a forward gear. And we proceed. The examiner has told us to do a 2-point reverse turn around this corner. Mirror signal shoulder check. We pull up on the right side here. We put our right signal on, 360-degree scan, into reverse, looking behind us. Turning all the way to the right. And again, trying not to get into the snowbanks. And we've done a 2-point reverse turn, stopped into forward gear. The examiner has told us to proceed and to turn right at the controlled intersection. And again, in the wintertime, you may have to operate the heater controls for the defrost and heat in the vehicle if it gets too hot. And again, we stop before the sidewalk. There is no sidewalk here, so we go right up to the edge of the road. And there's no stop lines. I can't see the stop lines, so that's what you do for the purposes of a road test. Complete stop. The examiner has told us to proceed left at the controlled intersection. So mirror signal shoulder check approximately half a block from the turn. And again, there's a sidewalk here, so we stop before the sidewalk. Complete stop at the stop sign. Proceed forward until we can see. I can see the way is clear, and we proceed. Examiner has told us to turn right at the next intersection, at the controlled intersection rather, at the stop sign. Mirror signal shoulder check approximately half a block before the intersection. And again, we stop before the sidewalk. Move forward until we can see. And the way is clear. No, the way is not clear. It's higher speed traffic because this is a main road, so know when you come out onto a main road or a multi-lane road, the snow is going to be gone, the road is going to be in much better condition, and vehicles are going to be traveling at a higher speed, so you're going to need a bigger gap. And that's why I waited for all that traffic to proceed. So know that the faster the vehicles are traveling along the roadway, the more gap you're going to need to be able to move out there, and that comes with experience about how much gap you need in order to pull out onto another roadway. And I can see the stop line here, so I stop before the stop line. The examiner has indicated that we want to turn left at the next controlled intersection, which is at the next traffic light. Scanning the intersection before we proceed. Putting my left signal on to indicate that I want to move over to the other lane. Signal on all the way into the other lane. Cancel my signal. Mirror signal shoulder check. Wait until the end of the painted island. We want to drive in before the solid white line. And at this point here, you might have to watch because your signal might cancel and you might have to turn it back on. So just note that. Front wheels on the front crosswalk line. Proceeding, meeting the gap. Shifting forward, and we have to watch that car because it's way over the stop line. Right signal on, immediately coming around, and we move back to the right lane. Signal all the way on into the right lane. We have a red light. There's no point accelerating up to the red light. Both hands on the steering wheel, as I tell myself all the time when I'm doing these videos, because as you know, I talk with my hands. Okay, we have another yellow light. There's no point accelerating towards the yellow light, so we just take our foot off the throttle. 50 kilometers an hour, we just work the throttle a little bit. We can see the traffic coming through the intersection. Now we're coming up to an intersection at that second traffic light. You may be able to see that in the dash cam. Now we come to a stop at the stop line. This intersection up here, both lanes turn left, but there's no overhead signs and there's no lane markings. But I live here, so I know that this intersection, both lanes turn left. Now, when you turn left and both lanes are turning left, you want to be in the outside lane, because when you're in the outside lane, you're going to end up in the right-hand lane on the other side, and that way you're not going to have to change lanes to get back to the lane that you should be driving in for the purposes of a road test. So just know that 2 lanes turning left, you want to be in the outside lane. And if you have 2 lanes turning right, you want to be in the right-hand lane. That way when you go around the corner, you're going to be in the right-hand lane and the correct lane for driving straight down the road. Scan the intersection before we proceed out into the intersection. And we're changing to a 50. It goes from an 80 to a 50 kilometer zone here, which is basically a 50 mile an hour zone to a 30 mile an hour zone. And it goes to 50 right here. So we're going to reduce our speed a little bit and do the posted speed limit, which is 50 kilometers an hour. And the roads are in good condition here. You can see that because it is a main road here. So there isn't any snow like when we are on the back roads there, the residential streets and whatnot. They're not as well plowed. So there's lots of snow there. And again, I'm just monitoring my speed. I'm controlling my speed. Speed and space management. Again, huge sign for 50 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour for those of you in the States. Both hands on the steering wheel, scanning well ahead. I've got a red light up here. Traffic stopped. There's no point hurrying up to the light. You just take your foot off the throttle and prepare to come to a stop. And we can see the cross traffic there has come to a stop, so I knew that the light was going to change. And I keep my distance so I can see the tires and the vehicle in front of me making clear contact with the pavement. And you want to maintain your speed here. Control your speed as you're coming off the intersection because it's easy to get following traffic. And the next thing you know, you're over the posted speed limit because we're on a main road here. It's 2 lanes. A lot of the vehicles are going to be doing well above the speed limit. So don't get caught out that way. Simply monitor your speed when you're coming off the traffic light and get to the posted speed limit as quickly as possible, but don't exceed the posted speed limit. Because, as we know, for the purposes of a road test, the 4 major components are speed and space management and maintaining the posted speed limit. So that's the speed and space management. The speed part is the posted speed limit or the traffic flow, whichever is less. And the other 2 components are observation and communication. Those are the 4 main components. So speed and space management, observation, and communication. Now, the driving examiner has indicated for me to go right at the next intersection, which is right here. Scanning, checking my mirror behind, mirror signal shoulder check. Before the turn, and we're going to go left at the next intersection. Mirror signal shoulder check, and again, we're stopping before the sidewalk. I can't see the stop line and just get a little bit of a vision of it here because we're getting back into the snow and ice again, and we're moving forward so we can see the way is clear and we proceed. And the examiner has indicated that we go left at the controlled intersection, which is the traffic lights. Mirror signal shoulder check approximately half a block from the turn. And I can see the crosswalk line here. I can't see the stop line, but I'm going to stop before the crosswalk because there's a sidewalk. Scanning the intersection. You can see the green light on the other side. It's gone to yellow, therefore my light is going to change momentarily. Light has gone to green. The other vehicle is proceeding through the intersection. I scan the intersection. Looking, proceed through the intersection. Straight through the intersection. The examiner has indicated to go straight through. Come up, I stop before the crosswalk line because I can see the crosswalk line because we're near a main road again. The traffic light is green, so I know that my light is not going to change anytime soon. watching the traffic behind me as I'm sitting here waiting for it to come up, because if the traffic behind me is coming up too fast or they're not getting stopped, then I simply want to move forward. That way it'll prevent me from getting rear-ended. Oftentimes that little bit of space, and again, we're proceeding, scanning the intersection, the way is clear. Scanning the intersections, I know there's 2 crosswalks here, and I can see by the overhead signs as well. Examiner is indicated to go left at the next intersection. Mirror signal shoulder check. Into the turning lane because I can see the arrows on the road. Stop before the stop line. My light is red, the other one has gone red. I know it's going to turn to green. Scan the intersection. I'm waiting for that vehicle to come through. Shoulder check immediately before turning. Examiner has indicated for us to return to the licensing center, so I'm going to proceed through the intersection. Can't see, I stopped before the sidewalk. We move forward, there's a car coming. And we proceed. Turning right back into the licensing center, mirror signal shoulder check. You see the stop line there. There was a vehicle parked there in the licensing center, so I had to go around the other way and come into the other parking lot. Mirror signal shoulder check, 360-degree scan in the parking lot. And I'm pulling up to park in beside this vehicle here, so I want to go 2 spaces. 1, 2, these 2 cars are a bit far apart, so I want to go to the second space at the halfway point. I've done that. I've got my vehicle in reverse, so my reverse lights are on. I've got my signal on, and I turn my steering wheel all the way to the right, and I'm watching that vehicle. 360-degree scan. Actually, I lost demerits there because I didn't do a 360-degree scan before I proceeded in reverse. They're minor points, not huge points, but I would have lost a few points there. Okay, I'm almost in the space. I'm looking forward. I'm bringing my steering wheel back to straight, looking forward, looking behind me, and finishing my back into the space because I know my steering wheel is straight. Now I'm just backing up. And again, I don't want to back up too far because I don't want to get into the snowbank behind me, and I know that the back of that vehicle and the front of my vehicle are lined up. Into a forward gear, into park. If you're driving an automatic, parking brake on, turn the vehicle off, and you tell the examiner that you finished your road test at this point, and the examiner will tell you whether you were successful on your road test or not. Quick review of road test in the winter time. Know that it's not going to be exact. You don't have to get as close to the curb. Actually, you only have to get close to the snowbank. And as I showed you in the 3-point turn, you simply only have to line up behind the vehicle that you're parking behind. You don't have to get in close to the snowbank, because if you get into the snowbank, it's going to be a risk of getting stuck. And driving examiners don't like pushing vehicles out of snowbanks. Actually, they probably just terminate your road test at that juncture, unfortunately. So stay away from the snowbank. Don't risk getting stuck. Simply line up off the vehicle in front of you. As well, when you can't see the road markings at the intersection, if there's a sidewalk, simply stop behind the sidewalk. You don't have to stop at the road markings that you can't see. And the farther you get away from the main roads, the more snow there's going to be on the roadways. As well, take note of the temperature. If the temperature's around 0 in the wintertime, know that it's going to be a lot more slippery than it is if you have sub-zero temperatures, as we do here in Vernon today. It's about -15 outside. That's probably why you don't see me outside shooting in the great outdoors. I'm sitting in my car where it's toasty warm because it is cold at -15. So just saying that at -15, when I went out this morning, the windows were very, very frosty. So take some time and get the windshields and whatnot all cleaned off completely so you can see well during your road test. And both hands bolted on the steering wheel. All the rest of the techniques, tips, and abilities that you have to demonstrate for the purpose of the road test, you can see in the other video that I have here on the channel of taking a road test in the summertime. All those rules apply. Now, posted speed limits, you can't do posted speed limits in the wintertime because those are under ideal conditions. If you're out on the main roads, yes. But if you're on back residential streets, especially if they have parked cars and there's a lot of snowbanks and those types of things, you're probably not even going to get close to the speed limit. So there's good reason for you to go slower than the posted speed limit, even 20 or 30 kilometers an hour, because there's lots of snowbanks, there's lots of snow, and there's lots of cars parked around. If you're in the States, 15 to 20 miles an hour in these residential areas where there's lots of snow and parked cars and those types of things, so you don't have to do the posted speed limit. You don't even try to do the posted speed limit because the driving examiner will just deem it dangerous and assign demerits for it. Again, finally, last thing is that the driving examiner is sitting there with a clipboard and writing stuff down. Try not to get distracted by that. Focus on what you're doing. As I said in the introduction, as I've said time and time again, your job is to take away the examiner's right to fail you. Nothing more, nothing less. Question for my smart drivers: do you have any tips for new drivers taking a road test in the wintertime? Leave a comment down in the comment section there. All of that helps out the new drivers taking the road test in the wintertime. I'm Rick with Smart Drive Test. Thanks very much for watching. If you like what you see here, share, subscribe, leave a comment down in the comment section. As well, hit that thumbs up button. Check out all the videos here on the channel if you're working towards a license or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. Lots of great information here. As well, head over to our website, good information over there, as well as online courses that you can purchase. Stick around to the end of the video, funny bits and links to the other videos and links to my website. Thanks again for watching. Good luck on your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now. We have a sidewalk, so we stop behind the sidewalk. I can kind of see the stop line here, so I move forward after I come to a complete stop.